Hello everyone, my name is Muthu Bagavathiannan and I am an Associate Professor of Wheat Science at the Department of Soil and Crop Sciences, Texas A&M. And my co-author is Spencer Samuelson, a PhD student in the Wheat Science program at Texas A&M. Today, I would like to give you a general overview on weed management in organic production and talk about some non-chemical weed management tools that are currently under development. The first step of a successful weed management strategy is knowing what kind of weeds that you're dealing with in your production systems. Know your enemy so you can be better prepared to tackle the enemy. Identify and be familiar with the dominant weed species you have in your fields. The Weed Science Society of America has some excellent resources to facilitate that. You can find more information in the links provided here. The University Weed ID pages is a collection of weed ID databases developed by various universities across the country. Once you know what weeds you are dealing with, then understand the biology of the species. Is it an annual or perennial? How many seeds do they produce roughly? How long do the seeds live in the soil seed bank? How do they spread? This kind of knowledge will help choose an appropriate weed management approach. For example, we conducted research in 3 locations across Texas to understand palmer pigweed seed bank persistence when buried at a depth of about 10 inches. What we found was that in excess of 90% of the seed in the soil seed bank was lost viability within just 12 months. This knowledge is highly valuable because we can use occasional deep tillage as an option to exhaust palmer amaranth soil seed bank. A similar strategy might work for weeds with small seeds that can't emerge through a deeper seed burial. Knowledge of the life cycle of the weed and its biology will be very helpful. Understand if it is an annual or perennial species. Perennial weeds such as Johnson grass, bindweeds, nutsedges are especially a problem in no-till production. Tillage is an effective tool for perennial weed management, but it can also fragment and spread rhizomes and other underground reproductive structures. Care should be taken to make sure that the underground storage organs are exposed to hot sun and desiccated before they can re-establish. We can't emphasize enough on the fact that prevention is the best weed management strategy. In the high plains, some weeds show very high potential for fast spread across production landscapes. In particular, tumbleweeds, kochia and Russian thistle can produce several thousands of seed per plant and spread the seed across vast fields by the tumbling action. On the left, you are seeing a picture where 2 individual kochia plants tumbled and spread their seeds across a field. Pigweeds are another notable species that spread very quickly. Each plant produces hundreds of thousands of seed that can quickly overwhelm a management program. We commonly see that these weeds first establish in ditch banks as well as field edges, as you see here in the other 2 pictures. The middle picture shows the spread of kochia from field edges into wheat fields in the high plains, and to the right is a cotton field. Farmers should consider managing weeds in these areas to prevent them crawling into the production fields. A general hygiene and cleaning equipment is necessary to prevent weed spread across fields. A sound crop rotation is a foundation for managing different pest organisms, including weeds. Due to the differences in management practices and functional differences, a good crop rotation prevents any particular weed species from dominating the system by taking advantage of crop competition, allelopathic interactions, and other means of weed suppression. Moreover, crop rotation allows for multi-tactic weed management, where different management practices implemented across seasons may have severe impact on weeds long term. The many little hammers concept was suggested by Liebman and Gallant, where the weed populations can be effectively managed with the combination of several tools, though each of them individually will only have a minimal impact. Use all different tools available at one's disposal and target multiple weed growth stages, specifically focusing on reducing weed seed bank size. An old adage says that 1 year seeding is 7 years weeding. For some weeds with long seed bank persistence, the consequence of allowing weed seed production can be long lasting. Here is an integrated weed management toolkit for organic systems. There is not enough time to describe each tactic in more detail here, but the idea is to target different growth stages from weed seed in the soil seed bank to plants with mature seed retained on them just prior to harvest using a host of tactics. These can be grouped into management practices done at the time of planting, early to mid-season, pre-harvest, at harvest, and post-harvest timings. Of the different weed management tools that can be utilized in organic systems, cover crops rank among the top. Cover crops provide various ecosystem benefits, including weed suppression. In this picture, you are seeing various summer and winter cover crops evaluated at College Station for their suitability. The winter covers included here are different types of clovers, Austrian winter pea, mustards, radish, turnip, cereal rye, oats, winter wheat, and triticale. In this aerial view, you can see the excellent ground cover produced by various winter cover crop species. We were specifically looking for biomass production, soil moisture demand, and weed suppression potential. Among the winter covers we evaluated here in College Station, oats, wild mustard, Austrian winter pea, and a mix of oats and Austrian winter pea were the top performers. In particular, the brassicas, such as the wild mustard, produces chemicals called glucosinolates that provide pest control benefits by acting as biofumigants. The winter pea is a legume which fixes atmospheric nitrogen through the production of root nodules, which you can clearly see in the picture on the left. These pictures were taken in a different study conducted in College Station where cereal rye was planted as a cover crop. Though the stand was very poor, you can clearly see how much weed suppression the cereal rye provided compared to the fallow ground which is on the right. The cash crop can be planted straight into the cover crop residues to provide weed suppression and other benefits. In this picture, the cover crop used is oats which provided excellent biomass. Harvest weed seed control is another tactic that has high utility in organic systems. This is a novel approach in which weed seed are captured at the back of the combine and destroyed using various methods. Imagine what happens to those weed seed that exit at the rear of the combine. These seeds are typically redistributed to the soil by the combine spreader. Instead, we can catch and destroy them to minimize the addition of viable seed to the soil seed bank. The Australians have perfected the harvest weed seed control methods, especially for controlling ryegrass and other weeds in their wheat production systems. In the US, we are currently testing and optimizing these methods in various production systems. A key prerequisite for these methods to work is that wheat seed must be retained on the plants at the time of crop harvest. In this picture, we are showing a tactic called narrow windrow burning, wherein the wheat stubble containing wheat seeds are concentrated in a narrow windrow and burned later to destroy ryegrass and other wheat seeds. All we need is a chute attached to the rear of the combine to concentrate the stubble in a narrow windrow. Burning is a very cheap option, but may not always be preferred due to various restrictions. This is only a proof of concept to show the impact of a harvest weed seed control approach for weed management. Seed impact mills destroy wheat seed that come off of the combine. Burning is eliminated, so the biomass is returned to the soil. The first generation impact mills were tow behind units and were expensive. An example is shown here on this picture. The technology has advanced over the years and now we have integrated mills. The one fitted to the case combine on the right. Now they are very cheaper. More companies are in the market producing new designs that brought down the cost substantially lower. An integrated unit today costs anywhere from 50 to 75,000 US dollars, whereas they were about twice as much just a few years ago. Just to give you an idea, here the chaff coming off of a seed impact mill is compared with a non-processed material. You can see the differences in weed emergence between the two. There is over 98% destruction of weed seed, even the small ones such as pigweeds. The picture shows the kind of damage the pigweed seeds sustain as they are run through the seed impact mill. Our results showed that the mills are effective in destroying seed that are even much smaller than pigweeds. In addition to weed management before and at harvest, emphasis should also be placed on reducing seed production from weeds that emerge after crop harvest. This is particularly important for weeds such as pigweeds and kochia that can quickly grow and produce seed within a short period. Research conducted in College Station and Lubbock showed that pigweeds emerged as late as early October, produced at least few seeds prior to killing frost. Thus, managing these post-harvest emerging weeds is critical for minimizing seed bank persistence of pigweeds and other weeds in crop fields. In addition to cover crops and harvest weed seed control, there are several other tools being tested with utility in organic systems. These include laser, microwave, electricity, flaming, abrasive grids, and many others. The future of organic weed management holds a lot of promise in terms of technological advancements. Recent developments in field robotics provides new opportunities for selectively removing weeds in organic production fields. Regardless of which tools and technologies we use, always be mindful of the likelihood for weed adaptation. You hear a lot about weed resistance to herbicides in conventional production systems, but weeds become resistant not just to herbicides. In theory, they can adapt to any management practice that is placing heavy selection pressure on them. A classic example to weed adaptation is the case of bonnier grass adapting to hand weeding in Asian rice culture. Hand weeding is the dominant weed management practice in Asian rice, and bonnier grass is the dominant weed, which at the seedling stage looks very similar to rice seedling. After years of hand weeding and removing seedlings that were visually different from that of rice, bonnier grass biotypes have evolved resistance or adaptation to look alike rice seedlings. In this picture, the one on the left is a rice seedling, the one on the right is bonnier grass, but the middle one, shown in maroon color, is also bonnier grass, but that evolved to look alike rice. Essentially, bonnier grass has developed resistance to hand weeding. Another notable example is weed adaptation to tillage. We've documented in long-term field research in College Station that Johnson grass adapted to continuous no-till sorghum production with high population densities, which is on the right, compared to a conventional tillage system on the left. So in summary, weed management in organic production requires a good understanding of weed biology. One must use multiple tools as much as possible and be cognizant of weed adaptation. There is really no silver bullet. Weeds can and will develop adaptation to even cover crops and harvest weed seed control practices if they are relied heavily for weed control. With that, I would like to thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please email me at muthu@tamu.edu. We would like to acknowledge funding support to my program through USDA NIFA, USDA ARS, and SARE for various research projects on organic weed management as well as multi-tactic integrated weed management. We also would like to acknowledge the GROW network for leading the integrated weed management research at a national level. You can learn more about GROW at www.growiwm.org. Thank you.